Hello, lovely people, and welcome to day 69 of my 365-day journey to become as good at chess as possible. I'm playing chess full-time for a whole year, and that means lots of puzzles, lots of games, lots of game analysis, and today I'm going to start by playing a rapid game, as per usual, on chess.com. Just reached 1500 for the first time, and aiming for 2,200 by the end of the year. Ridiculous, some would say, but that's my goal. The main goal is to play and learn to play as good at chess as possible. Beautiful chess, but if I were to put a rating goal on it, I would also include 2,200. Okay, here we go. Quicks 46 starts with c6. I don't think I know. Yeah, okay, so they play d5. I think I don't want to take because they'll just replace that central pawn with their c pawn, and then I will lose a central pawn. I'd be trading these two pawns. And I don't know if I want to go forward. I don't know if I want to advance. I think I'm just going to develop, not waste any time. I don't want to lose that pawn. Got to be careful of this square. Yep, that's what they're looking for. I was considering this and this. So knight e2, queen h4, knight g3. But I don't want my knight on g3. It works, it solves the immediate problem, but it puts that knight in a pin, and I don't really want it there. It's just staring at its friend. So I'd rather potentially trade off my dark squared bishop, which is currently my good bishop because my pawn is here, but it's not a fixed pawn, so this isn't necessarily my good bishop. This is, yeah, okay, fair enough. I could come back with my bishop. Where would that queen go in that case? If I come back with the bishop, then I'm basically not really giving my queen many squares to get out and develop, because both the knight and the bishop either want to go to that square or through that square. So I'd rather not do that. I think I'm going to allow the queen trade, potentially even not castle, because as soon as the queens come off, I am ahead in development, and taking back would actually develop this rook. So I could sort of castle by hand. And because the queens are off, it's not particularly dangerous. Yeah, I am going to do that. I'm going to allow castling by hand here. Jojo Abel commented yesterday on my video, basically advising me against being a time trouble addict. So I'm trying to avoid that here. I want to avoid their bishop being able to come out here naturally. So if takes, and then here, I think that's quite a nice square for their bishop. Because if they come here, I'm going to be able to push, and none of these squares are available. So at the moment, the black bishop can only comfortably develop to that square. Okay, so if I come back, I'm still threatening check and then winning a bishop, or winning a bishop that way, winning one of the bishops. But if I go here, they can't just straight away push. So they might take my knight, which I think I'd be happy with. So yeah, I'm going to put pressure on them to make a decision. I think they will probably take my knight now. If they come up, I can give a check, and then they'll take, and I'm really cramping this king at that point. But then they could just challenge that bishop, actually. So maybe not. I do like the idea of check. I think they're going to have to take, and then that bishop is now a very happy piece. Yep, I'm going to do that. Also, I am looking at this next move, just putting the bishop, slightly demoting their bishop. I kind of want to trap this rook. If it's on. Okay, it's time to develop some pieces. I'm looking at this, putting pressure on this pawn. I'm expecting this move at some point. I kind of want to get my knight to this square. Again, putting pressure on here, but also here, and just generally looking at the squares around the king. I think I'll start with this rook move. It means at any point I can bring my king back here to the relative safety of the back rank. And I also mentioned earlier that this king could come to d7 to harass my bishop, but that would just halt the development of this knight. They don't seem to want to develop their pieces. If I go here, they can just come up. I was thinking of trying to remove a defender of this pawn. I don't mind them taking this pawn because it helps me develop my knight to a really good central square. So how about I either challenge their bishop or challenge this e6 pawn, or at least put pressure on it. I'm happy to see that. Missed that completely. That's a shame. Okay, so I'm almost certainly going to take with the rook, go down the exchange, and then attempt to put pressure on that bishop. So cutting off these two squares from the bishop. I can't put pressure on it just yet because this pawn will hang, but I could push this pawn, come up, and then it could always go to here, but then I can put pressure on it with the rook and basically say, like, none of these squares are available to you. And then if it does move off this diagonal, it could still just go to one of these two, defended by pawns. But if it does leave the diagonal at any point, let's say to there, I can put pressure on the rook. And when the rook comes back, I can insist. And if it comes here, come in. It can escape though, can't it? Okay. I kind of like putting pressure on this bishop this way. Yes, that's the way. Put pressure on it this way. It probably doesn't want to come here. Well, it can't go to f5 because it'll just get taken for free. So it has to come to g6. I can then take with the knight, and then this is open and free. So let's go that way. Yep. What I'm doing here is actually threatening to win the bishop. So I could be making up for that miss. Let's see. Okay. I could step up first. The bishop is still trapped, or close to being trapped. Or just push. Why not just push and avoid any pressure on that pawn? Yep, I'll do that. This knight has actually done me a favour because now the king can't come to that square, as I sort of discussed before. Alright, I need to play this well. I don't think they've noticed that their bishop is trapped. It kind of, yeah, it still is. It still is trapped. Yeah, let's take it. So the winner pawn technically will be even on material, but I prefer white's position. One thing I don't think I really noticed was when I was moving that pawn, I was also not defending that f3 square with a pawn. I think it was just lucky that the knight was defending it. So note to self. Oh my God. What am I doing? Completely missed that. Completely missed that. Dear me. They did well there. They not only, I don't think I could have actually won the piece without losing that bishop, but I didn't even notice it was hanging. I could have moved the bishop and attacked the rook. I was thinking about it. I was like looking at all these moves and looking at this, winning this pawn. But no, missed that completely. Okay, what's the position to look at now? I think I'm going to take this way. I think I'd rather isolate this pawn than just turn this 3 versus 2 majority into a 2v2. If they decide to take this pawn, I'll be very happy. But they won't do that. They're just deciding whether to take with the rook or the pawn. Yeah. Defending this pawn, I didn't want to come this way with the king, because this forking the pawn and king just meant I'd lose a pawn one way or the other. And coming this way gets in the way of the rook. And I just don't want to be defending this pawn with the king. So looking at maybe rerouting the bishop. Yeah, I'm happy to come across. I know I'm in the way of the rook for just temporarily, but I can take another step with the king. So I was thinking of attacking that rook, but at that point there was no quick way to defend the d4 pawn, and the defender had gone on an attacking spree. So now I've cleared a space to defend that pawn with the king. Again, I'm not that happy about defending it with a king. At this point, for example, I'd get forked, so I think I need to come up with this pawn before doing anything like that. Yeah. If I come here, I'm attacking this twice. Aha, no, I can't do that. What if I do this first? What if I go here? They don't have a check. Or they have a check, but it's not a good one. If I go here, they can take a pawn and then a knight and then a bishop, but I think I've got time to... What if I kick it first? No, I can't do that. Covering this square. And now I'm basically setting up this, or trying to. I can push this first out of the way. It can't come here. It basically has to go back. But then going back does block my bishop's of this pawn. Maybe my king should come over here. But again, just coming back. It's very easy for black to just go back to where they were. One side is sideways movement of the king, and I will be threatening that pawn, the e6 pawn. I think I should play quickly enough so that I end up putting them in time pressure. I can't go to that. I can't go king d2 straight away. I keep thinking I can do that, but I can't, because I'll lose my knight. That move is interesting because I can attack the rook with my knight going to h4. They can't go there. They can't give me a check. There's moves like this, depending where the rook goes, or this, and then, yeah, okay. Okay, so they're defending that well. But I can do here now. I'm basically setting up this because I didn't want to, when my rook was still on e1, I didn't want to come here and then have to trade off rooks. Okay, I don't want to trade off knights even, so how about getting to e5 with my knight? And maybe getting my bishop to g4. Need to be careful because I can't afford to lose this pawn. Cut off some knight moves. Now this looks tempting because the king's on that square. I know I've got to make 3 moves to get there, but let's just try. Don't want to allow a knight check. Yep. I have allowed that pawn to be taken, I just realised. Sadly. Yes. Okay, all right. I see your moves. After I should have seen them. That move next, if they don't move the rook. Which they almost certainly will. Okay, I'm creating problems. They've got 1 minute and 32. I don't know how good they are on very little time. Nice. Yeah, good move. That's a shame. That's a shame. I should have probably done this actually and not allowed that pawn to move forward at all. Okay. Fantastic. Okay, so time pressure did work in the end, but I was in a completely lost position. Just asking questions, allowing that, but obviously losing the rook if they took that pawn. So, yep, pretty happy with that. I mean, definitely things to work on, but the thing about a game like that is that the things to work on are just me missing stuff rather than me having like not having a good understanding of the game. Obviously, everything's relative. I don't have a very good understanding of the game, but I have a better understanding of the game. And the things I missed, I understand what was wrong with them. So let me just have a quick look. All right, let's have a look at the game. So just going to flick through these moves. Quite happy with this. Making sure to develop where possible. I'm still quite happy with the position to not castle, with the decision not to castle. And then I especially like this setup where white has this bishop here. And this rook is misplaced. And sorry. Doesn't have... We'll have to waste time to go back there, and there are situations where white can come back and distract the rook from being on that square as well. So even at this point, my opponent almost certainly was looking at this and just trying to make it happen. I completely miss that my king is towards the center, easily attackable, easily checkable, and this is an undefended bishop. So good thing for me to notice when I've got undefended pieces and when my king is more available, cogs should be whirring. So my opponent's just trying to play it. So I think here I should play maybe king down to c1 just to get out of that check. I did mention king to c1. That's why I moved the rook to there, but I didn't notice that the fork was on, so I didn't rush into it. And I even said, so I shouldn't have played that move for the same reason I just mentioned. And then here, I'm calling this an actual blunder because I even said I'm happy to see this because it helps me develop my knight. I'm just missing that this fork is on. So down the exchange. And then I put a good move icon next to this move. Not that it's a particularly amazing move, but it does take away these squares from my opponent. And this is defended. This is not available. Neither is this or this. So this bishop is in the middle of the board, looks like it has lots of squares, but doesn't. And I'm only putting the good move marker next to this one because of it sort of like represents the next three moves from white. So seeing the idea that I can rally the bishop into that, the d5 square, and then with a tempo on the rook, and then win the bishop after this move. But actually, this move here, given the idea that black has that I didn't notice in the game, it's not amazing, this whole sequence, because black can just take this. And if I take back, then double attack. This one with check. So not amazing, but given that I missed that, I like the whole sequence. Like there are scenarios where I could sort of notice a sort of 3 or 4 move sequence a bit more accurately, and so this is good. This is good progress. So my opponent's move was great here. I should have, like I said in the game, I think I said this in the game, taken the moment to put a tempo on this rook, and they would have probably moved it and now take, and now this bishop is not available to be captured. So that was just a miss, complete miss. Like I was basically looking at this section of the board. I wasn't looking anywhere here. And so if you don't look there, it's fine. But the whole board is available to my opponent. And they spotted it, and I was completely lost here, basically. And then if we carry on through, just playing some moves, trying to keep things tight and potentially make things difficult for my opponent. Looking at that square mostly, so they did well to defend it. And just a few more moves. I'll make a mistake in a second. I mean, I'm down on time, and I'm trying my best at this point to do what grandmasters do and to do what good chess players do in general, and to just play the position as it is, not to be annoyed that I made a mistake or two, but to try my best to make it difficult for my opponent. And then at some point around here, I was thinking, okay, I need to just play quickly so that my opponent's down on time. They're either going to make a mistake because they're down on time or lose, just literally lose on the clock. I missed at this point that move attacks this pawn. So that was just a very simple mistake. Just too keen to get my pieces in. And then the next big mistake is here. So that's a full-on blunder because it loses a piece. And my opponent did really well. I liked my opponent's pawn moves. Later on, they moved the c pawn down to c5, and it was just very cramping, and there was nothing I could really do. So losing a piece and blocking that pawn, quite importantly, I think at this point. I'm dead lost. Black is winning this 100%. In a classical game, I would have probably just resigned. But that c5 pawn move, just constantly shutting the door to any ideas I might have of winning a piece, or putting pressure on my opponent. So they did really well. It was just unfortunate for them that they didn't have the time. So I'm just trying to force the king back. If they go back, I'll just repeat, and then I draw, and I'm very happy with that. And yeah, good pressure as well. I'm trying to put pressure on. We're going to win that pawn maybe. Again, taking up position. And I think this is the last move in the game. Yeah, this is the last move in the game. I don't know why I think I just looked at some variations. Yeah, they could have easily won, but I think I moved here. Yeah, I moved here, and that was the last move in the game because they just ran out of time. All right, so stuff to learn. Good to win even when I shouldn't be winning, because it's worth, like, the best players, they win or draw even in completely losing positions. So it's good to take those. All right, yeah. I will maybe either today or tomorrow release the mental conditioning session, and I hope you're having a great day. Please like this video if you like it, and subscribe if you're not already subscribed. It does make a big difference to a tiny channel like mine. And I wish you all the best. Happy chessing. Goodbye.